What is going on? I am the Inked Otaku, and with the 1,000-year Blood War arc coming out for Bleach, which is another one of my favorites definitely in my top 10. Going to be breaking down each arc, all the canon arcs. Because they have a lot of non-canon filler seasons. But we'll break down that, go into the manga. I am super excited. It's been 10 years since Bleach ended. Well, not even ended, but since they ended that arc and then they continued the manga. So let's get into the first arc, which is the Substitute. Ichigo is just living a normal high school life, with the exception that he can see ghosts. After saving a ghost of a girl from some thugs, he goes home, and the next day when he's heading to school, he's looking for that same girl, and he hears a loud scream and makes his way to it. He finds the girl and runs into a hollow, and this is where Rukia comes and saves the both of them, and then just disappears. That night, she appears in Ichigo's room not thinking that he can see her, and she just ignores him until he kicks her. Rukia tells him that she's a Soul Reaper and then uses Keto on him after calling her a pipsqueak. Then, she sends a lingering soul to the Soul Society and explains to Ichigo about spirits, whole souls, and hollows. She says that one of the jobs of Soul Reapers is to send souls to the Soul Society and to purify hollows. They hear a cry of a hollow, and Ichigo's little sister Yuzu tells Ichigo that the other sister Karin has been taken. Ichigo breaks the Keto, attacks the hollow, and then just gets straight Badouken by it. Rukia attacks, cutting its arm, dropping Karin, and then it disappears. Rukia then tells him that the hollow wasn't after that ghost girl, but it was him, sensing that his spiritual pressure is so high. The hollow reappears, and Ichigo essentially just gets in Rukia's way, and she gets injured. Stabbing Ichigo with Rukia's sword, we see him transform into the Soul Reaper that we all know, wielding that gigantic Zanpakuto we all wish we had. He beats the hollow, and the next day, Ichigo's family thinks that a car crashed into their wall, but they're all fine. At school, Orihime, Tatsuki, and Chad are introduced, and Rukia has joined the school. Ichigo is confused as to why she's still here, and she tells him that she's stranded in the human world due to her giving him his powers. She then uses a glove to take Ichigo's spirit out of his body, and they just leave it there. He saves a boy from a hollow, and then later on that night, you see a spirit brought to Wako Mundo and turn into a hollow named Acid Fire. After saving that boy, the two run into Orihime, who's gotten hit by a car, and Rukia sees that she has a hand-shaped bruise on her leg. The three part ways and they all separate to go home. Unfortunately for Ichigo, Rukia is living in his closet, and then they are attacked by acid fire. Ichigo is able to crack the hollow's mask, revealing the face of Orihime's older brother, Sora, and then the hollow flees. Then Rukia explains to Ichigo that hollows come from human souls. Meanwhile, acid fire goes to attack Orihime and Tatsuki. Orihime's soul is pulled from her body and Tatsuki is heavily injured. Ichigo comes and saves Orihime and Tatsuki. Eventually, Sora is able to gain control of his mind and uses Ichigo's Zanpakuto to purify himself, sending himself to the Soul Society. Lastly, Rukia erases Orihime and everybody else's memories. A while later, Chad acquires a bird that is said to be cursed, and an I-beam falls on him in the process, injuring him. He brings the bird to school, and both Ichigo and Rukia feel a soul inside the body of the bird, and Rukia suggests that they do a kanso. After school, when Ichigo gets home, he sees the clinic is packed with patients from a car accident. Chad is later brought in with a giant handprint on his back, and Rukia says he was attacked by a hollow. The next day, Chad is missing, and Ichigo is able to summon spirit ribbons to find him. They find Chad, but he runs away, and this is when they run into Karin. Ichigo takes her home and learns that she saw the memories of the boy stuck in that bird, that he saw his mother's murder. Rukia tries to catch up with Chad, but in the body she's in, she is unable to and is attacked by the hollow that is chasing Chad. Eventually, Chad comes to help and the two are able to hold out until Ichigo arrives. He beats the hollow and the gates of hell appear. Rukia says that people that do bad things after they're dead, or before they're dead, go to the underworld. Last thing they do is use a kanso on the boy and send his soul to the Soul Society. Now we get to meet Uruhara and his gang, who have sold Rukia a thing of soul candy. Rukia gives it to Ichigo and tells him that if he eats the candy, his soul will leave his body, but a replacement soul will take over for him. But it turns out that this candy is defective and contains a mod soul, which was made by the Soul Society, and they were all supposed to be destroyed. So after Ichigo and Rukia go do some Soul Reaper stuff, they try to go catch the mod soul in Ichigo's body. They are able to thanks to Urahara, and he says he's going to destroy it, but Rukia ends up taking it. Ichigo sticks the pill into a stuffed toy and it comes to life, and they name him Kon. The next day, Ichigo is acting weird after realizing what day it is. Everybody at school takes notice, and once home, he tells Rukia that tomorrow is the anniversary of his mother's death. In the Soul Society, the Stealth Squad is asking to see why Rukia still hasn't returned from the human world and sends an agent out to check on her. The next morning, the Kurosaki family make their way to the graveyard, and at the top of the hill, they see Rukia waiting for him. Ichigo pulls Rukia aside, and after they argue for a little bit, Ichigo leaves, and this is when the Soul Reaper appears that was sent to check on Rukia, and he starts to ask her some questions. Then Ichigo appears after Kon tells him that Rukia might be in danger. They start to fight, and then Rukia gets a ping on her phone saying a hollow's nearby. It has attacked Ichigo's family. The group make their way to it, and Ichigo notices that the girl standing in front of the hollow, named Grand Fisher, is the same girl he saw when his mother died. Ichigo is able to injure Grand Fisher, and then it runs away. The Soul Reaper leaves, saying he's not going to say anything about what happened here. Later on, Ichigo and Rukia go to deal with a hollow, and when they get there, the only thing left is a spirit. They perform the Konso, and then we get a glimpse of Uryu watching them. That same night, they go out to go fight another hollow, and when they arrive, it's already been taken care of. Uryu shows up and says he's a Quincy, and that Soul Reapers are his enemy. Rukia goes to talk to Urahara, and he says that the Quincies were extinct around 200 years ago, and that the difference between Soul Reapers and Quincies is that one purifies the soul while the other tries to just eradicate them, and eventually the Soul Society gave the order to eradicate the Quincies themselves. Meanwhile, Uryu challenges Ichigo to a duel to see who can kill more hollows. Uryu breaks something called hollow bait, and a bunch of hollows just start to appear. The two start taking out hollows, while Ichigo goes to look for his sister, seeing as she has high spirit energy. Chad is then attacked by a hollow, which he can only see the outline of, and then he runs away. Eventually, he runs into Karin at the park. He fights the hollow, and he unlocks his power, which isn't really explained at this time, but he's able to beat the hollow using it. Next is Orihime, who unlocks her powers after her and Tatsuki are attacked by a hollow. Her powers are the Shunshin Rika, which are 6 fairy-looking type beings that allow her to defeat this hollow. Back with Ichigo and Uryu, they are taking out a bunch of hollow with no end to them, and then a rift in the sky opens, and a Menos Grande comes out. Eventually, Ichigo uses a giant slash, and the Menos Grande retreats back into Hueco Mundos. After some time has passed, one night, Rukia is confronted by 2 Soul Reapers, Renji and Byakuya. Renji starts to attack and then is interrupted by Uryu, who tries to defend Rukia, but ends up getting defeated. Finally, Ichigo shows up and starts getting his ass whooped by Renji when he releases his Shikai. He somehow gets the upper hand and is about to deliver the final blow to Renji, but then his sword is broken in half by Byakuya, and at the same time, he takes out Ichigo and takes his powers away. In order to save Ichigo, Rukia decides to go back with the two to the Soul Society, and they leave. A bloodied and battered Ichigo is saved by Urahara, and he's told that Urahara will train him and get him strong enough to go to the Soul Society. Ichigo starts his training, and so does Orihime and Chad with Yorichi, while Uryu trains by himself. In the Soul Society, Rukia's punishment is handed down. She is to be executed. During Ichigo's training, his soul chi is eaten away, and he is in the process of becoming a hollow. Inside his inner mind, Ichigo waits to meet his Zanpakuto. The figure says that his latent powers of his own can be awakened. As he's about to become a hollow, he overcomes and he finds his power. Ichigo and Urahara start to fight, and Urahara unleashes his Shikai and goes after Ichigo, eventually cutting away at what's left of Ichigo's Zanpakuto. He can finally hear his Zanpakuto call out to him and calls for Zangetsu, revealing a new Zanpakuto. And with that, everyone's training is complete, and with Yorichi leading the way, the group begins to make their way to the Soul Society. Alright, that is the first arc, The Substitute. Now we can get into the manga. You know, not really many differences, I would guess. It's not crazy amount of differences per se, but you know, first off, you can see here that obviously it's a lot more graphic than it is in the anime. Obviously, censorship as always. You can see the girl's face is bloodied up, and then before the Hollow goes to attack Ichigo's family, I think, as I'm just making an assumption here, I think he kills or eats that girl's soul. As you can see in like the third panel down, that's that same girl. I think she gets eaten by the Hollow, you know. And then when the Hollow does attack their family, instead of Yuzu being the one that tells Ichigo, it's Karin who tells him, I mean, instead. And then when he breaks the Kido, he, instead of grabbing a chair, he grabs a bat, which I don't know why they would switch that, but, you know, they did. And this is just a, you know, panel from the manga as when he turns into a Soul Reaper for the first time, which I think is pretty cool. Panel, simple but still cool. And then when Orihime gets hit by a car, she actually gets hit by the car and then I guess like walks along, and then she finds them in a park and tells them what happened and all that, and this is when they see that she got you know, has a handprint on her leg. And then after Ichigo cracks Sora's mask, it actually doesn't regenerate, it just stays the way it is instead of, like I said, instead of regenerating. So, which, I don't know, these weird things, I don't know why they would just change them, it doesn't make any sense, but, you know. And then here more, you know, gory or graphic than it was in the manga, or anime I mean, you know, bloodied instead of just being a handprint on Chad. And then so Ichigo actually goes to school to try and find Chad, and he's not there. And then Yuzu and Karin also go to school instead of both of them just being like, oh, we're at home and gonna go find Chad. And then after he beats Grand Fissure, it doesn't show it in the anime, but in the manga somebody actually heals him, you know, from his wounds that Ichigo got. And then I think this is the last one, but when the Menos Grande, I don't know why I keep saying Granos, but the Menos Grande comes, it actually eats a bunch of hollows when they when it comes out. And I think that's the last one. So that is the Substitute, and then the next video we are going to get into, I'm gonna break it down into two because there are two separate arcs in and of itself, kinda. But the Soul Society, the Rescue, I think it is. No, the Sneak. It's called the Sneak. So I will see you there. Otaku out.